Alright, welcome back to this tutorial where I'll talk about how we would create a multi-module framework. And what I mean by that is, if we look in the structure right now, so we have base, we have the manager classes, we have utils, we also have the page object. And now what if your manager, or what if your manager tells you, or you have to add some new features, new classes, maybe for database connection, maybe reporting system. So you can see how this becomes a lot to maintain, especially when you have everything together with the page objects. So, and what if you need to create another similar framework, or you need to work another new feature which needs to use the same structure? So would you go on and create a whole new project? I mean, that's a lot to do. So what we can do is we can create a multi-module framework, and let's start off by showing you. So what I'll do is right click and go to a new module, and we'll select Maven, the default configurations, and let's call this base package just to make it clear, and create this module. And now if you look here, it created the regular structure for us. And basically what I can do is, if I open the old source directory we had, what I'll do is I'll copy base, manager, and utils packages, and I'll drag and drop it into the base package module in main Java. Alright, and since this base package is not going to be used to actually run any tests, so what I can do is delete test Java, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. And also what I can do is, let me just create a new module. So new module, it's also going to be Maven, and let's call this new feature. Click on next and create that. So now the basic idea is, whatever the base classes we have from base package module, I can just call on those in the new feature module. So I am basically reusing them in a separate module, and maybe I get a requirement to add another feature, or I need to test on another feature, so I can just simply create a new module and call from call the methods and helper and the classes from the base package itself. So you see how it kind of helps us to create a more dynamic framework. So what I'll do is I'll open up new feature module, and we can see that it created a structure for us. And what I'll do is, in the old source directory, what I'll basically do is the pages package, I'll just drag and drop it into our new feature source main Java. So that's our page object for now. And then in the old source directory, again, if we look, we had a test package with the main class. So what I'll do is I'll just drag and drop this into new feature, source, test, and Java. Alright, and the last thing we had was, within resources, we had a runner.xml. So what I'll do is, first off, if we look into the new feature module, the resources is put in main Java. That's fine, you can keep it there if you want. But what I'll do is I'll just drag and drop it into test here, and what I'll do is I'll take this runner.xml and move it inside the resources. Alright, so let me just collapse that, and now we see the old source directory is empty, so we technically don't need it anymore. So what I'll do is just to delete that. So now we have two different modules, the base package, that's just fine. So let me just open the pom.xml, which is from the main project. So we're not really going to touch a whole lot here, except that what I'll do is, before the dependencies block, I'll add dependency management. So this is going to be a wrapper around the dependencies. I'll just format this nicely. Alright, and another thing is, since we're not actually running anything anymore from the main project, what I can do is remove this plugin, or I'll just keep it for now, but I'll just comment this out for a minute. So we don't need this anymore here. But I'm still gonna keep the plugin because I want everything to be in 1.8. Oops, that messed up. Alright, so now in the base, let's go to base package, and in the base package there is pom.xml. So this is pretty much empty. So what I'll do is in the main pom.xml, I'll just copy everything starting from dependency management going all the way down to the build block. So let me just copy and paste it in right here. And what I'll do here is in the base package pom.xml, I'll remove the dependency management block because I don't need it here. I'll explain why in a second. And I can remove the versions as well. And let me just remove this as well. I'm just gonna format it real quick. Alright, so basically what I did is, what I'm doing is that I still have this main pom.xml which is gonna handle all the dependencies for me, which I want to use throughout all the modules. So I'm providing the version here and the dependencies, and what I'm doing is in base package I'm just providing the dependencies without the versions. So this will automatically detect the version that is provided in the main pom.xml. And now what I'll do is in the new feature module, so let me open new feature and let me go to the pom.xml inside the new feature module. And here what I'll basically do is I'll create a dependencies block. And within the dependencies block, I'll create a individual dependency. And here, since we're using IntelliJ, it's pretty smart. I'll just type in base package because that's our module and hit enter. So it'll autofill for us. So basically what it is doing now is I'm saying to look at all the dependencies in the base package. And base package itself is looking to the main pom.xml file of the project. So now we can see that in the new feature pom.xml we don't have to provide individual dependencies, but if you want you can provide other dependencies that is relevant to this specific module or this specific feature. One last thing I'll just add is if I go to the main pom.xml, I'll just copy this build block, the entire thing. And what I can do is from the main pom.xml I'll just remove this plugin. I don't need it here anymore. So now let's just go back to new feature pom.xml, and without outside the dependencies block I am going to paste in the build block, and I will uncomment this and just format it real quick. So there we go. Now basically what I'm saying is that this new feature is going to be able to run with the XML file, even if when I try to run it from Maven. Alright, so now that we have that set up, let's see here. So now we have the page object, we have test, resources, everything looks good. Let me just go inside the classes and see if it's giving me any error. So far you can see that it's not giving me any error, the imports are correct. Let's look into page object as well, so it's not finding any issues with the imports, so that's just fine. And another thing to notice as well is, let's go to the base package module and let's look in the manager, Chrome driver manager. So if we remember, we have these abstract methods which we did override, and here we see that it is using a driver executable which looks in the current directory. And when I say current directory, if I'm running the project from base package, or sorry, if I'm running the project from new feature module, it's going to look into the new feature. So in the new feature I don't have any driver directory. And actually I didn't show you guys this, but I accidentally deleted the driver which I had previously. So what I'm just going to do is in new feature I'll just right click on new directory, create a driver, and I'll just paste in the drivers I had, Chrome and Gecko driver. So what you'll just have to drag and drop the entire driver directory, or yeah, directory into the new feature module. So now whenever I run, it should find the executable driver. So let's try this. All right, so first of all, what I'll do is, if you have Maven installed in IntelliJ, if you have it on the side, so what I'll do here is, actually we can see the entire lifecycle here by clicking on lifecycle. So I'll start off by clicking on clean, so it's gonna clean off the entire project, and then I'll click on this blue icon which blocks the tests. So basically what it does is, if I click on install now, if I install, it's not gonna run the tests, it's just gonna install any dependencies. So let's just click on install. So we see that it successfully installed everything, which is just fine. So now what I'll do is, let's go to the terminal. So I'll click on terminal and let's see if this works. So I am currently in Test Automation Framework. So let me just go into the new feature by saying cd new feature. And now what I can try to do is to say Maven test and see what happens. So it's looking for any tests in the new feature module. And we can see that it's running test suite, and it opens up Chrome and it executes the test case. So now what happened is that instead of, so basically what I can do now is, if I add more modules for different features, I can just go into that individual module and just run that module by itself. So that's the main power of having a multi-module project, and it's a really simple change. We really didn't do a whole lot of things. And if you don't have this Maven plugin, which I used here, that's fine. You can still go to the terminal. You don't have to click on this blue icon as I did. You can just do your thing and just say Maven clean install. It should work, but it's gonna try to execute the tests. So this is why I like IntelliJ. It is a very powerful tool. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you in the next tutorial.